Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd. This astrology report is for the week of September 16th, and it is a huge week in the astrology. It is all climaxing to this point. We are in the eclipse portal. We have the Virgo new moon on the 21st of September this week, and that is the solar eclipse that is going to bring some finality to where we've been coming from and where we are going to. We've been wormholing through the eclipse portal, and this is a very important time. This is a very important time because when we have eclipses, we have permanent changes and events that affect the future permanently. So we find that this is a time of big endings, big new beginnings. The North Node and the South Node are two mathematical lunar points, but they're significant because those are the points where the sun and the moon line up to cast the shadows that we actually can see these eclipses on the sun and the moon. And so this new moon in Virgo, very much the day that we are working our way to the climax point of the week. But man, I looked at the aspects for this week and I gasped. It was like, oh my gosh, there is so much going on this week. I don't even know how to start except for just start today and move through the end of the week. It's just one of those very, very busy times. And so it holds gravity this week. These eclipses we're moving through, this new moon in Virgo holds some big weight to it because it's in an opposition to Saturn. And we'll talk about Saturn and what is happening with Saturn as we get into the week here. So on September 16th, we start out with a little lineup of the personal planets and Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. And when we have a lot of interplay with Chiron, we see our wounds, our physical injuries and even our emotional insecurities. They become highlighted because Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron brings up our wounds so that we can work on them, we can alchemize them, and we can master them so that we can become a superhero who can harness the power of that wound, that insecurity, that injury, and help others to bring that around and alchemize it. So the wounded healer is the one who has mastered their wounds and is now becoming a teacher for others. Chiron is in Aries right now, and this is all about the wounds of the self. Aries is about the self and the ego and me. And so these wounds that are coming up are very much about the self. It's making us look at these areas that sometimes, don't really want to come up. And we have Mercury, Venus, Mars, all making aspects to Chiron on the 16th. Mars is in an opposition, so our physical body is coming to some point. The opposition is a time where we make a decision about something. We come to that ultimate point where it has gone an opposition all the way across from each other. It has reached the very furthest culminated point that it possibly can with that. And so we make a decision there. There is a very much a theme of opposition and decision making this week. So this is very much sparking it off. And then the moon is moving into Leo on the 16th. So we get a fiery moon. We get our heart lit up, our inner fire, our inner flame, our passions get lit up up in Leo. Also our childlike spirit. We can tend to be very playful and have a more fun vibe to us when the moon is in Leo. On September 17th, though, we get another very big aspect for the week, and this is an opposition. This is Mercury coming into the opposition with Saturn. Saturn has just recently moved back into Pisces in a retrograde. Saturn is the planet of responsibility. It's the planet of problem solving. And it is also more of the planet of rules and restrictions and boundaries. So Saturn can be considered to be a more heavy weighted type of, has a little more of that type of energy that it carries with it. Saturn in Pisces is bringing things up from the past. Pisces is about endings, and it's about bringing everything up to the surface so that we can then move forward from that, come to a final completion point in Pisces before we move into Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. Pisces is the last, wants things to come to completion. So Saturn is retrograding back. Our rules, responsibilities, boundaries, our more fathering aspect is also in Saturn, more of like the cosmic father. And so we are bringing things up from the past here. We are feeling some heaviness, some weight of Saturn, of these events. And then Mercury comes into an opposition on the 17th. And Mercury is our mind. This is our mental, this is just where our thoughts are, where our ideas are. Mercury is in Virgo, and Mercury wants to be very planned out here. Wants to be very grounded about things and have a bit of an idea about how things are going to be rolling forward, wants a little more control, wants to be a little more planned out and have this step-by-step process worked out. So in an opposition, Mercury becomes a little challenged of this Virgo, need to be more organized and to kind of have a little more of I kind of want to know in Virgo ahead of time when things are going to happen. I wouldn't say Virgo, the earthy sign of Virgo, likes surprises as much, but when Mercury comes into this opposition, is going to be needing to make some type of decision here. And it is going to be in terms of what Saturn is bringing up in Pisces from the past. There are a lot of things that we have already seen with Saturn in Pisces. Saturn was already there for the last 2.5, 3 years. And so things from 2.5, 3 years ago could be coming up, things that we already mulled over. And so this is a tough spot where the mind, Mercury, comes through and says, okay, this is a decision-making moment. And this energy is hanging on all week because Virgo is strong right now. Virgo houses the sun. We have the last week of Virgo season before moving into the fall equinox and Libra zone. And of course, the South Node is in Virgo. So trying to hoover and vacuum things out. The South Node is about leaving things behind. So Mercury, our mind, feeling the South Node, wanting to, walk away from things. The sun, our personal identity, is gravitating towards right now and in this zone also of, hey, let's do the Virgo thing and detox and purify and wipe the slate clean and release what's not serving right now. Mercury comes through in this opposition and is like, yep, time to make these decisions. But, it's not easy. It's heavy with Saturn here. So there is a pressure that we feel all week for decision making. And on September 18th, we have Mercury making that move out of Virgo into Libra. So it truly is a finalized decision making point. And then Mercury leaves into new energy. Libra houses currently Mars, our physical body. So Mars has been in Libra warming things up. The body is nice and warm. Now the mind is going to come through and find this Libra balance and harmony. And there's a fairness to Libra that wants things to be in balance. It needs to be fair for everybody involved, and everybody's perspectives, need to be seen here. So it's a good place for Mercury to be, although Mercury loves Virgo. Mercury it rules Virgo, so really operates very, very nicely there. But Libra is a great place to start seeing some different perspectives. Libra can also be an energy of always trying to see different perspectives, though. So it can be overwhelming with Mercury in Libra, because we're always going, oh, but I need to look at that. Oh, and I need to see that. And I need to balance this out and that out. So we'll talk more about Mercury in Libra as it moves on. Such a busy week. I feel like I don't get a lot of time right at this moment to talk about these individual aspects, but just knowing that because we're in an eclipse week, that the way that we go about working with the energies this week is really, really important, because it's going to have a permanent effect on the future. We're going to be making some changes this week and making decisions that are going to affect us from here on out. So then on the 18th, we get another important opposition, Mercury and Neptune. Mercury has now moved into Libra. We have the mind in this more balanced state, bringing in different perspectives. And Neptune is the planet of our hopes and dreams and desires, and of our creativity, and of dissolvement of all of the details. And so Mercury is usually wanting to create these visions in the mind. And when we have this opposition with Neptune, or any Neptune type of dreamy activity, we can see that we just are dreaming a lot. And we could finally, like Mercury is wanting to do in this opposition, make a decision here to move towards this big new dream that's coming in, or some aspect of it, that Mercury is now seeing in Libra, because the mind is a little more balanced here. Then, of course, at the first degrees of Libra, Mercury is making aspects with the minor grand trine that is restructuring the entire world right now. This minor grand trine with Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini, and Saturn, Neptune, both hovering over the 1 degree point, 0 degree point, 29 degree point there of Aries and Pisces. This is a huge deal for outer planets to be aligning in this way. And this is restructuring the world on a grander level. And Mercury coming through, becoming very, very aware of this restructuring and the way that things are changing. And we have a new mental awareness and a new mental understanding of the way that this minor grand trine is now working and interplaying, and how that is affecting us on a smaller level. On Friday, the 19th of September, the moon moves into Virgo, and we start to feel the new moon in Virgo solar eclipse vibes pretty much straight on from here. This same day, Venus moves into Virgo. So we get all this Virgo lining up here for the new moon and solar eclipse, and the sun makes an opposition with Saturn as it comes in here, making more decisions for our personal identity. The sun is our ego. It's our self. It's us. This is our main filter. This is who we are. We're making some major changes that have a permanent effect on the future right now, and more decision making will be necessary as the weekend comes on. This is when we get the sun in an opposition with any other planet and Saturn here, it's when that planet is the brightest. So Saturn is going to have the most brilliant light shined on it, which means we're going to be seeing what Saturn is doing very, very clearly. And we already said Saturn is back in Pisces, mulling over things of the past, taking care of buttoning things up and ending those things, coming to completion points in Pisces. So that is definitely the focus as we enter the 21st of September, and the new moon solar eclipse is actually here in the Pacific West Coast, happens at 12:53 p.m. And this is the point where all of this Virgo activity comes to a final culmination point. Virgo is the sign of the Virgin. It's the sign of making everything new and clean again, purging, detoxing anything out of our existence that is not serving our greater good, that is not helping us be this cleanest, most purged version of ourself. And Virgo is the planner. Wants to get things done. It's an earth sign. So we are here at this new moon solar eclipse to get things done in terms of becoming a whole version of ourself again. That is feeling extra heavy, and this week is feeling extra heavy because of all of this oppositional energy to Saturn and Neptune in a retrograde, mulling over things from the past, restructuring everything on a grander level and on a micro level and a macro level, because as above, so below. And the way that we see things on a grander scale is the way things are happening on this microscopic level also. And Virgo is the detail-oriented one that doesn't mind checking out every little last detail to make sure that we have, excuse my language, combed through everything that we have needed to during this solar eclipse time. And this is also the time when the moon and the sun come together. So we make a new intention, a new cycle is started when we have this conjunction between the sun and the moon. So we make an intention for moving forward, for the next phases, for the next cycle, for the next round. And then the moon moves into Libra and leaves Virgo zone after the new moon takes place. The new moon's at 29 degrees. If you would remember, we did have a month ago a first new moon in Virgo. So this is very much finalizing and finishing things that we started a month ago, 6 weeks ago. And so coming to these final completion points, and then we get the equinox, the Libra equinox, the sun moving into a new sign on the 22nd. This is the fall equinox in the northern hemisphere, the spring equinox in the southern hemisphere, but no matter what, it is a point of balance. This is a Libra point. The Libra point is all about balance and harmony. So we have equal amounts of light and equal amounts of dark. And it's a great time to focus in on the power of nature that's around you, because the natural cycles all get revitalized when we have the solstices and the equinox. It's a time when the earth itself is in a balanced point and the veils between worlds are very thin, and we can see in and through into these other worlds and through into these other worlds It's a great time for so much Virgo energy for the eclipse. And I just feel it very powerfully that this is a time to grasp onto, but also a time to take things slow. Saturn is about slowing things down and taking things responsibly slow, so take your time and do enjoy the week. And thank you so much for listening to the Cosmic Community Astrology with I, the Galactic Ambassador, Stacey Dredd, and I will be chatting with you again very soon. Take care. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.